Welcome back to the David Pakman Show. I am Farron Cousins from Ring of Fire, sitting in for David today. And if you want even more from me, you can subscribe to my YouTube channels, youtube.com/TheRingOfFire and youtube.com/FarronBalanced. And I also host the Ring of Fire podcast every week. You can catch that on rofpodcast.com. Fox News, as I'm sure everybody is aware, has a defamation trial coming up. And so far, it is not looking good for the right-wing network. Late last week, it was announced that they privately settled a defamation claim brought against them by Venezuelan businessman Majid Khalil. And Khalil had been accused on Lou Dobbs' program by none other than Sidney Powell herself of running a scheme in Venezuela. He helped allegedly get Hugo Chavez elected, working with those Dominion voting machines and all that other stuff, and none of it was true. It was, in fact, a complete fabrication, so Khalil sued for defamation, and last week Fox News settled. Now, that lawsuit, of course, is not necessarily as intense as the Dominion voting systems defamation suit, and, of course, the other defamation suit filed against Fox News by Smartmatic. However, some of the claims with that particular lawsuit that Fox has now settled are also brought up in Dominion's lawsuit. So it's a big deal. Especially now, Dominion can go to court and be like, look, jury, they just settled a lawsuit making the same claims that we're listing here. So that's kind of them admitting that, yeah, it was bad and we'll give you money for it. So I know Fox News wants their legal problems to go away, but at this stage in the game, if you're going to settle, you probably need to go ahead and settle all of them. That's not a good look for the network. And in a really surprising move last week, Fox News also filed a letter with the court letting them know that they're going to be offering up certain hosts to testify at the trial. Those hosts include Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, and Tucker Carlson, the three people whose text messages have been revealed in the court filings where they talk about how they know what they're saying is not true. They talk about firing other people from the network's producers, hosts, for telling the truth. I don't know why Fox News would say, hey, you want to talk to these guys under oath on the stand in front of a jury? Go for it. That seems like a really dumb move. I understand in the criminal justice system, even in the civil justice system, which is what this is, sometimes you want the defendant to take the stand because they may be able to offer pieces of evidence or information that might otherwise not be known, right? They have their firsthand accounts. They may be able to convince a jury with their words that they didn't do whatever it is they're accused of doing. But in the case of Fox News, Hannity, Ingraham, Carlson, and the other hosts that they have offered up, we have your text messages. We have your emails. There is nothing you can say to justify that material that is already public knowledge. And that, of course, will be brought up in the trial. It will be blown up and shown on big TV screens for the jury to see, word for word, what these people said. All this does, and again, I'm still shocked, my mind is blown that Fox News is stupid enough to offer these idiots up on the stand. All it's going to do is allow the plaintiff's lawyers to walk up there, point to these statements from somebody like Tucker Carlson and say, Tucker, what does this mean? You sent this, right? Yes, I sent it. Did you mean it? Well, yes, I meant it. So explain to the jury what this means. That is not going to end well for Fox. Like 100% not going to go their way. And speaking of other things not going Fox News' way, they also recently tried to prevent Rupert Murdoch from having to testify at the trial. They argued in front of the judge and said, listen, Judge, Rupert Murdoch, he already sat for hours and hours in the deposition. It's on video. That gets shown during the trial too. So he doesn't need to come testify. Plus, he's old. Traveling is hard for him. And the judge actually ruled against that, saying, listen, Rupert Murdoch's been traveling all over the world recently, and now suddenly he's too old to come to Delaware to testify? No, I don't buy it. I'm not going to go along with it. Also last week, with this lawsuit, Fox News went to court and asked the judge to bar certain topics from being discussed at the trial. One of those topics was the Capitol riot. Fox's lawyers said, hey, judge, we don't want any discussion during this trial of the Capitol riot, no mention of the Capitol riot. January 6th basically doesn't exist in terms of this trial. Oh, and also, we want you to ban any mention of the death threats that Dominion Voting Systems employees have received. Now, to a degree, I understand that the Capitol riot really doesn't have anything to do with the defamation of Dominion. Okay, those two are not linked, so I get why you should say we shouldn't talk about it. I just also find it weird that you specifically want to bar it. Makes me think you got something else up your sleeve. But the death threats against Dominion employees, that's literally relevant to the case. Like that is a lot of what the case hinges on, is the harassment that these workers suffered because of your lies. Not to mention, as Dominion pointed out in a counterfiling, people don't want to come to work for us because they're afraid they're going to get killed because of the lies that you've spread about our network. So yeah, that hurts our business, which falls under the category of a defamation claim. Fox is in trouble. Fox is in big trouble. Are they in financial trouble? Not really. It's going to hurt them, yeah, because they're going to end up paying out a lot of money. Probably not the total $4 billion that the two lawsuits combined are seeking, but they're going to pay out hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, I think that much is pretty much a given at this point. But the credibility that the network is suffering, that's going to be almost impossible to overcome. And what I mean by that is they're not going to lose the audience they already have. Those people are Fox News viewers. They still believe Fox did nothing wrong. Those people aren't going anywhere. What they're going to have trouble with is when their very old audience dies off, there's not an audience coming up behind to replace them. That's the credibility problem. So in the short term, Fox will be fine. Couple years down the road, however, they're going to be in serious trouble.